Kevin, it's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Sir.
This is going to be fun. I'm excited. I was on Facebook here a while back.
Okay.
And I saw a picture, and it said 4-pound crappie.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, I gotta talk to this guy. I gotta figure out what he's doing. 'Cause I'm not in the 3-pound club, let alone the 4-pound club.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool
It is.
place to be. So
Never thought I'd be there.
that's a pretty exclusive club, especially around here.
It is. It is.
It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty. It's still. I think back. I watched that video probably 100 times.
Yeah.
Over and over just to see that fish again.
Yeah, that's a pretty special moment. Well, folks, and I just kind of tell you, so we're here today and be interviewing Kevin Blevins today. He's a somewhat local angler, from up Stokesdale area, and he caught a ginormous, gargantuan crappie on High Rock here just recently. It was like
4.07.
4.07. Biggest one that I've heard of. It may not be the biggest one that's ever caught in that lake, but it's definitely among the biggest that I've heard of for sure. But anyway, we're going to just spend a little time with Kevin today, and the question we're going to circle around to is, we all want to know how he did it. We want to know what he was doing, so we can go out and recreate it. No, not necessarily, but we do just want to hear the story. But before we get into that, Kevin, I was just going to ask you. How did you get your start in fishing, or what got you into fishing, or was there somebody that inspired you?
My stepdad was really big into hunting fishing.
Okay.
Before he'd come along, I've always been interested in it. I'd be in the woods. I'd be in the backyard. I had a creek behind the house.
Oh, nice.
And that's where I lived.
Yeah.
I stayed back there all
That's
the time.
Cool.
That's where it started, in that creek behind the house. Catching little bren, little horny heads, and
right.
all kind of little catfish. And
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So you did some time in the woods too, then hunting. Up. Yeah. Probably deer and so forth. Or
I did a lot of deer hunting, squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting. When I grew up, we had rabbit dogs. Did a lot of rabbit hunting with my stepdad and his dad.
That is a lot of fun right there.
It is.
Just rabbit hunting with dogs, and
a lot of fun.
I remember I grew up doing that. Man, it was fun.
Just listening to them.
It is. That's a good time. If a person's never done that, you're missing out. Yeah,
it's a good experience. I miss those moments.
Yeah. So when did crappie fishing kind of become your main thing?
It's always me and my stepdad. During the spring when it was really good and they were spawning. We always did it in the spring.
Okay.
Just off and on. It wasn't like it is now. I was a huge bass fisherman. That was my passion, was bass fishing, bass tournaments. So
okay,
I did that majority of my life. Crappie fishing really didn't get strong for me, I guess 5 years ago, maybe 6.
Okay.
That's when I really got into it, and I can't. Bass stuff is put up
the bass
in the corner and up on the shelf, and
well, was there something that sort of made that change for you? You just said, "Man, I'm done with that," and this is just
you just catch fish.
Yeah,
it can. There's days where you can catch 100 fish in a day. Bass fishing, you're lucky to get that 5.
Right. Yeah,
I was
around here. Yeah, yeah, right. Well, I think we live near some really good crappie fishing, and it's if you just want
very lucky
to be able to go out and just catch a pile. They're here.
They're there.
They're for sure. So you started tournament fishing. You said maybe about 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I
say 5 years ago. Me and Chris got together and talked about it, and.
Yeah. So what was that first one like?
Oh, it was terrible.
Was it terrible?
It was terrible. I don't think we even weighed in.
Okay.
No, I take that back. Our first one, we got lucky.
Okay.
And we did a High Rock, and I think it was a 10 fish limit, and we come in second.
Okay. Well, that's not bad.
Yeah, we did. That's not bad. This is fun, but it was downhill ever since that day.
It was hard to get back to second. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
there's a lot of times we didn't out anyway. I just sat back and watched and tried to learn as much as I could from the guys at the weigh-in.
Yeah, that's good. Because you're surrounded by the best of the best. Just
been lucky.
Yeah. Well, let's continue with the tournament. Just ask you a little bit more about that. So, how about any memorable moments tournament fishing?
I think all of them are probably memorable. I mean, they pop up on Facebook on memory, and all of them hold a special place.
Right.
I mean, I think probably the three biggest ones was the 3 championships me and Chris won 3 years in a row.
Oh, wow.
I think that was a big deal. I mean, that was hard to accomplish. And
which trail was that?
That was Yadkin River.
The Yadkin River and Crappie Trail. Okay.
Good trail.
And that's a cool trail. I mean, you're hitting
absolutely.
all of the, High Rock, Tuckertown, Baden, Tillery. Was it go to Blewett or no?
They were going to do Blewett, but I think they changed it.
Okay.
But yeah, they did. They did Blewett.
Yeah, that's a neat trail. And there's a lot of good anglers fish those.
Yeah.
So to come out, 3 years in a row, now that's...
And they're getting better and better each year.
Well, so, over the course of the years, doing your tournament fishing, can you tell us a little bit about your approach to fishing? Like, has it changed? Like, how you used to, 5 years ago when you were doing it to now?
I mean, when we first started, we had, all the rods up front.
Okay.
I had the trolling in the back.
Okay.
Did not know anything about trolling, but I gave it a shot.
Right.
It was mainly just the long poles up front.
Okay. So you just pushing minnows or
jigs and minnows. Yeah.
Yeah.
It did have live scope, but we didn't have that long. I mean, once we figured out the single pole kind of situation. All that came off the boat.
Okay. So you're a single pole guy now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you're basically using the the same approach Chris uses. Basically, you're live scoping like a 16-foot rod and
16 or an 8-footer or a 9-footer and flipping out to them.
Okay.
Just depends on the fish and what they're doing and how they like it and what kind of presentation that day is.
Yeah. Yeah, just whatever it is that they want.
If they're really up high, the long rod comes out because it's kind of hard to keep that bait up the top of them if they're up, 2 or 3 foot underneath the surface. So you got to kind of sneak up on them and drop on their head.
That was neat. That day I went out with Chris and I got in the boat with him to go fishing, and I was like, he's only got one rod in here.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Has he got dynamite somewhere? I mean, what are we doing? And so that is a neat approach, and
And
but it works. I mean, it works.
You can single out we're looking for the biggest fish we can find, and you can single them out a little bit better with one pole.
Yeah, right. Well, figure if you're catching fish with. You got the multiple rod spread.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of your time is spent.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dealing with fish that you don't want.
Exactly. Yeah. Or if you want to get up and move, I mean, it
just takes
a lot of time.
Yeah,
you just put that one rod up and hit another spot.
Yeah.
Just keep moving, cover in water.
Well, I think the time has come now for us to circle back around talking about this 4-pound crappie. Is where we kind of what we really. I think a lot of us are curious about. So let's just talk about it. I mean, I assume this is a catch you're never going to forget, right?
Oh,
I mean,
this is definitely a lifetime. It's if this fish was caught in the springtime, it'd have been it'd have been
because you telling me
a skinny 4-pounder.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. It was kind of skinny,
big frame, big body, big head, but didn't have the belly, and didn't have the. Yeah, I like to know what it would have been in the springtime.
Well, I mean, I think you told me you did put it back, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I mean,
there's a chance somebody might get out there.
Somebody could catch it. Maybe it'd be you.
That'd be nice.
Well, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, to think that there's a fish that big swimming around out there,
and there's several out there, I'm sure.
Yeah. And going to get bigger, presumably.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, just maybe break it down for us. Just kind of tell us the story of.
I mean,
that
day was it was cold and rainy. I met Coleman Mundy and Josh Farrell out there, and we went to Potts. And right away, you can just tell it was going to be a good day.
Yeah.
And I was fishing in the back of the Potts, and I was close to 14 pounds at that time. And Coleman said, like, you might want to try up here to the mouth, and I'm starting to see some good marks. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And, you know, it's getting almost time to wrap it up anyway. And so I took up to the mouth of it and put the scope down, and I was like, oh, yeah, there's some nice fish out here.
Some good ones.
And I kept on telling myself I need one more big one to really boost that scale up, because I always try to get the biggest weight I can each time I go out. You know, it's like a competition with myself. And I was like, I told Josh, I said, I just need one more big one to get rid of this. I had a small one in there. And about 20 minutes later, I'm like, I was scanning, looking, and I seen this big, bright basketball. I'm like, if that's a crappie, that's a giant. And a lot of times, you know, it could be a catfish or a gar just facing you.
Sure.
It just looks like a crappie.
Right.
So I always try to flip on those big marks just to get them to turn and see what they are, because you never know. Well, this one was that crappie.
Yeah.
So as soon as he nosed up, and I could tell how big he was by the screen, and I was like, I was shaking.
Yeah, you know it's a big one.
Oh yeah, and he thumped it, and I set the hook, and I yelled out to everybody, like, this is it.
This is it.
You know, I was thinking 3 pounds. All right, it's
Right.
going to be close to 3. And he come up to the top, and I'm telling you, it looked like a 2 pie together.
Man.
It was just a giant.
Didn't you say it was like 19 inches long?
19 and a quarter.
Goodness
19 and a
sakes.
quarter, 7 inches wide. Length, you know, tall.
Gracious, that's huge.
Yes, it was. I mean, I got one of them nets, and it took up that whole net.
I imagine it did.
It took a while to get him in the boat. I mean, it made several runs that I was like, man, I just come up to the top so I can get you in that net. But yeah, I sat there and got to put him in the bottom of the boat in the net, and I just sat there. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I knew. I was like, I told them, I was like, this could be a 4-pounder. And sure enough, it was 407. It was a giant.
Man,
it was a giant.
So you had some buddies that were nearby that kind of witnessed this and everything.
I'm so glad of that too.
Yeah,
that would, got that share that with them. Yeah, that was a good part. Good part to share. Yeah. And it was a blessing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to several people, you know, since that day, you know, like Chris Miller and different people. Yeah. You know, several of them said, you know, they were excited for you.
Yeah, he called me right away and
said it couldn't happen to a better guy.
Well, thank you.
But that's awesome, and I mean, I'm excited. I think I'm excited.
I still get chill bumps talking about it. I mean, it was just a giant. Well,
tell me a little bit about you know, what do you think that catch? I mean, catching a 4+ pounder in High Rock. I mean, what do you think that maybe says about the fishery at High Rock Lake, or does it? Or what do you think? I mean, or does it?
I don't know. I mean, I just know High Rock just holds. I don't know if it's just because it's a river system that feeds into it, and it just constantly. Well, they just got so many places to hide. You know, when the water gets up, they got the bushes in the river,
all them willows and stuff.
Docks,
yeah.
Bait.
Yeah. Could be.
It's just a heck of a fishery.
It really is. I mean, it seems like it's getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people say it's getting better.
And they did have that where you know I think it still is. You can catch as many as you want, right? Or they change it.
Yeah. So we don't have a size or a creel right now.
Nothing. Yeah. You just because there's just so many fish, so that might have something to do with it. I don't know.
It may. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to know, because about the same time they're getting rid of the size and creel limit was about the same time that really live scopes starting to take off. So, you know, are there more big fish because of the losing the size and creel limit, or are we just now we can see them and know where they're at? So, I mean, it's hard to tell, but the fact that they're there and some of them, like you know, we just did a video with Chris Miller here a while back. You know, we're discovering that at least some of those fish is old. Like they're like 10 years old. Some of them.
That was an awesome
video. That was a fun one to make.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It was fun, and just to see that. I mean, there's some big 5-year-old fish, but some of them are making it to 10. And so, if a 5-year-old is 2 pounds, if that fish was to live another 5 years, how big would it be? I mean, it could be some of these, like, these 3 and 4 pounders.
Yeah.
And I think Chris was telling me too. So didn't you, like right after catching the 4 pounder, didn't you turn around and catch a 3?
I did.
Was it the same day, or tell me about that?
I think it was 2 days after.
Okay.
Yeah. I had 2 guys, good buddies, that watched that and seen that. I mean, it was almost in the same spot.
Okay.
Identically, same area.
That's so cool.
And
man, I just can't imagine
catching a 3 pounder after a 4. I'm like, this.
Man.
I mean, how can you get any better than that?
That's about as good as it gets right there. Yeah. So that's on my goal. That's on my to-do list for this year.
Yeah.
Because I want to get. I need to get a 2+ or ideally a 3. But So I thought I was going to get my PB when I was out with Chris, but didn't quite happen. But
it's coming.
So it's coming, and we're making plans.
Yeah. There you go. Absolutely.
Well, speaking of that, and that's kind of my goal or challenge, for 2025. I'd really like to get a PB in the boat. So what about you as far as thinking about 2025? I mean, we're in January. What are some of the biggest challenges or goals or whatever that you have kind of moving ahead this year?
Man, just spending as much time on the water as I can.
Yeah.
We talked about my son. He did get on a travel team, so that's probably going to hold me back a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, and that the travel ball and all. I mean, it lasts for a season, and then that's kind of over. So we won't catch them all.
No, I hope not. But I mean, this past season I wasn't able to do as many tournaments because I was assistant coach on my son's baseball team. So on Saturdays, our practice was on Saturdays. I made that commitment. So
right.
I do miss those guys being in those tournaments.
So as far as for this year, I mean, we talk about goal, just being on the water as much as you can, and I know that's going to be limited. Do you got any other sort of crappie related things you're looking forward to? Any tournaments or
of course
trips?
The one coming on High Rock in a couple weeks.
Oh, the big one. Is that the big one?
The National Crappie League.
National Crappie League, yes, and that's going to be
2-day tournament, Friday and Saturday.
That's going to be a big one.
7th and 8th.
7th and 8th.
So hopefully we'll have a really good turnout because that's probably one of the biggest tournaments we've had and has come to this area that I know of.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah. And just hope people show up so they come back.
So let's talk about one of the things we didn't really cover. I think when we were talking about the 4 pounder. So I don't know if you want to talk about specific to that or just in general. Is there a specific like a type of bait or some kind of tackle or certain things that you like to use, or
I'm a Todd Huckabee rod guy. I like the stiffness of them, the backbone, and the fast tip on them. I don't like a lot of whip. I just like I picked one of those up. I was out in Louisiana fishing Mr. Crappie with Freddie Sinclair, and they had a booth set up, and I picked one of them rods up, and I was like, "This is it." I called Chris, and I'm like, "Man, you got wait till you feel one of these." And we were Denali, and but that's they make some really good rods. And that day I was using a 17-foot carnivore. And I think the Sportsman magazine, I think we got it backwards. I think they said I was using a Epic. I can't remember, but I was using a 17-foot carnivore rod with a K9 line, K9 braid. With K9 leader, which is a 15-pound leader.
Is that like a mono or fluoro?
Fluoro. And then one of my hand-tied jigs I've been working on.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think I talked to you the other night on the phone, and you were working on some jigs, tying some jigs, retying some jigs,
redoing them, experimenting. I feel like I'm getting closer to dialing in what I'm looking for. I know South River Baits. I'm with them. He makes a phenomenal hair jig. but I just like to tweak. I just got to tweak it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Yep.
got my little style that I'm looking for, and
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Okay. So you're a pro staffer for a couple of places, right?
Yeah. Crappie Forever is one
Okay.
of them, which is a phenomenal.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that, because I don't think I know what that is.
They're more like a catch release. They sell apparel, hats, all
Okay.
kind of stuff. So, and they raise money, and they it's just catch and release. They just
Mhm.
want to promote catch and release.
Okay.
Or bigger fish, and
Okay.
for us to catch those 4-pounders.
Right.
Um,
Interesting.
great company, great
Okay.
thing to be a part of.
Okay.
Um,
Well, good. Yeah. I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable in the world of crappie, but I had not heard of them. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. Are they local or are they?
no, they're out. I think they're Oklahoma. I could
Okay.
be wrong, but I'm pretty sure
It's out west.
that's out
Okay.
west. Yeah,
Okay.
good group of guys.
And then there was at least one more, right? That you-
Yep, K9. I'm with K9. Todd Huckabee, South River Baits,
Okay.
Top Hat Jigs
Okay.
out of Illinois. Munch Crappie, he helps a lot. You know,
Okay.
he promotes the Top Hat Jigs in his store.
Okay. And the Monk's fellow, he's local.
Oh yeah,
I think yeah.
he's local. He's got a
Mhm.
nice shop, and Moxie Jig Heads. That's
Okay.
what I tie my hair jigs with. And
Okay.
great jig head,
Pretty cool. Well,
stout hook on them,
Yeah.
boat flipping hooks.
Okay. Just flip them right in the boat.
Yep. Not the 4-pounders. No, I wouldn't.
Not
do
the
it
4-pound. No. You want to get the net for that one.
Yeah, and I net most of my fish during the tournament. I
Yeah,
usually
probably
don't
don't
try to
wanna-
chance them too much.
Yeah. Don't want to take the chance of it.
I've done it and regretted it. So.
Yeah. And everybody needs a good net man. Right?
Yeah,
Everybody needs a good net guy.
Absolutely.
Well, before we wrap up here in a couple of minutes, I
Yeah.
just throw a couple sort of final questions your way. And, of course, if you got anything that you'd like to share we hadn't talked about, feel free to interject with those.
Just get into tournament fishing. I mean,
okay.
if you want to learn and learn from these guys, stay after.
Mm-hmm.
After the trophies are set, I always like to stay. You know, a lot of people like to leave, but I like to, congratulate the winners, and they work hard to get that win, and just pick their brain a little bit.
Yeah.
And just learn from them.
Well, that's good.
From
and
the crowd.
I think the one thing that I've noticed about especially the crappie fishing crowd, at least in our area, it seems like they're very helpful, very willing to be helpful.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if every fishery's like that. I don't know if catfishing's like that, or other bass fishing, but at least I know around here there's some really good guys in crappie fishing.
Really
very willing to help, very willing to
It really is.
share techniques and tactics and all that kind of stuff. And so
Exactly.
for beginners or anglers that are looking to improve, any tips that you have? So talking to tournament
just
anglers.
Time on the water.
Okay.
Just time
Time
on the water.
water.
Yes. Cover water.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be scared to put that trolling motor on 7 and 8 and
Just
cover.
scan.
Just scan and cover water. Boat control. Learn how to do your boat control.
Oh,
That's
man.
the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Once you get up on that fish, you don't want to spook him. You don't want to, and then be able to read them on how they want it. And
Mm-hmm. Looking at their mannerisms and all as you're presenting a bait to them.
Yeah. For instance, I noticed a lot of times if I'm long poling, I drop down on him before I get to him, just to see where my bait is.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times the fish is facing away from him. If I brought that bait across his back, it spooked him.
Mm.
He's like, "What is that coming up behind me?"
Uh-huh.
So I had to get a little further and drop it in front of him and bring it back to him.
Really? Okay.
So
So
little
even
things like that.
The direction of your presentation,
Mhm.
Well, and now with the live scope, you get them dialed in and you get used to what you're looking at. You can kind of tell this is the front end of the fish, this is the back
Absolutely.
end of the
Yeah.
fish. He's sideways, or and that's
the
something that's
sides.
pretty cool.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So with that, you like running the boxes on your screen?
I
where
do.
You can see
I do. The contour, the boxes.
Okay.
It helps you.
Sort of figure the
Yep.
size. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because otherwise you're just you might be going after real
Oh
little.
yeah, absolutely. And you know, it changes per lake. You know, a lot of times, I mean, sometimes it looks like a giant stick him and he's not. And I'm like, well, how'd that happen? But a lot of times, I catch a few just right off the bat to get my eyes used to what I'm seeing, and then I know just hey, I need to bump that up. I need to look for bigger marks.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. That's good advice.
And I'm always scanning. You know, if I'm not around a lot of fish, I'm looking out 110, 120 feet in front of me, and just constantly just looking,
scanning.
Yeah.
Now you like having your live scope transducer mounted to your trolling motor?
Oh
yeah. You're not a pole.
Yeah.
Put it on a pole guy. Okay.
Yeah, I like to have my hands free.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I think it's a lot to me, I think it's a lot faster. You can cover a lot of water faster. And
right.
Get on the fish a little faster once you get into it. And the brakes in the back, once they come out, it's just game change.
Oh yeah.
You're never running over a fish. So
yeah.
Boat control.
Cool. Yeah, let me ask you. I was going to ask you a little bit about boat control. I mean, what do you think would be like a good, just like a number one top solid tip for people trying to learn boat control? I mean, what would you say is the most important thing? Coordination. Okay.
Footwork, because I got one foot on my rear brake and then my trolling motor, so I'm just constantly just.
Okay.
And the wind. I mean, you got to play the wind a little bit. A lot of times I like to go with the wind.
Okay.
Because I feel like I can control the boat just a little bit better. And plus you don't have that boat slap.
Right.
It controls that, so it's quieter.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And I just keep hitting them brakes and just easing up to him until I get close enough to execute, or depends on if I'm flipping or long poling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, the boat control, I think,
takes a lot of practice.
It does. I know that's an area that I want to grow in, because you can't catch them if you can't get your boat in the right position.
Exactly, or you're spooking them off. I got really good at that when I bass fish. I used to do a lot of drop shotting on my home lake at Blues Creek. And it's a super clear, and it was a drop shot lake where you just the old sonar, see them underneath your boat, drop down on them, and that's how I feel like when live scope, I think that helped me, because I was so good at the 2D sonar.
Okay.
And drop shot and with controlling my boat.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'd cover water by just 2D sonar.
Yeah.
It's crazy thinking back on that.
Yeah. That used to be all there was, and there was a time when it was just flashers. I mean, it was just people running the circle flasher things, and Well, I mean, electronics is such a game changer. I mean, just learning. And to me, I think that's where, you said time on the water really pays dividends, because you really get a lot better at not only getting your electronics dialed in, but learning what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Because, after a while you can sort of see, okay, this is a crappie or not. Yeah. But, so you don't guide.
No.
Okay.
I like to catch them too much. You put that on there.
I put that on there. Well, Kevin, I think it's been a pleasure having you in today. I wanted to just close with one last question. Just as we think about crappie fishing, we've covered some ground today, talking about tournament fishing, how we started fishing, how it's evolved, and all these sorts of things. What would you say, for you, is the most rewarding part of all of it?
It's probably the fellowship, the friendship.
Yeah.
I mean, I met and got to know a lot of good people, a lot of good friends, even if it's just Facebook. I mean, it's just endless. It's just, that's probably the best part I like about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, just that's probably sums it up. Just fellowship.
Just the camaraderie and the fellowship and the friendships and all.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really cool. I've noticed that it seems like among y'all, it was a pretty a pretty close community.
Yeah.
You know, keep up with each other and so forth.
Yeah.
So
And a good finish is just a bonus. I mean, it's just bonus on top of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get that 15, 16, 17 pound bag, that's even better.
that's definitely rewarding. Satisfying anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah, it's just the time on the water. And then always looking forward to the weigh-in. If I don't have a good bag or not, it's just being around people that
getting to hear the stories and
that love the same thing you love.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
It really is. It really is.
Well, like I said, it's been a pleasure having you in today. I know we all wanted to hear about the 4-pound crappie, and by the way, and I'll close with this. Obviously, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that sort of thing. But also, if you want to see and I'll try to post a photo here of Kevin with his fish. But there's an article coming out in the Carolina Sportsman. It's going to be out. Well, it's actually the digital version is out, I think, and I'll link that in the description down below. But coming up here soon, I'm sure it'll be out in the printed copy, and you'll want to pick that up as well. So definitely a newsworthy event, and we're glad to have you in to hear about it. So
thank you.
Well, hopefully we'll catch up with you on the water.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Good job, Kevin.
Thank you.